The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
JD squared right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Friday, October 17th. Today is National Edge Day. I guess, did they want me to take the edge off?
There's many different meanings for that word.
All right, here we go, Jesse. Give me a second.
Edge shaving cream today, right?
There's a spicy version of that word.
Let's see what the edge.
Some people like to edge all day.
If you're cutting your hedges and you're making edges, does that count?
Sure.
So Edge Day on October 17th, National Edge Day celebrates a conscious choice and a vibrant youth movement. The commitment to living free from alcohol, tobacco, and recreational drugs. It is a day
straight edge day.
It is a day to empower and support those who embrace a straight edge lifestyle, finding fulfillment and excitement on their own terms.
Word to that.
All right,
I can get down with that. I like the straight edges.
All right, fair enough. It's also National Mammography Day.
Mammography?
Yeah.
Like mammogram?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
Shout out to the mammaries.
Yeah, I was with a doctor yesterday that came up with a whole new technology for doing mammograms, where it's like they just kind of like circle this thing around you, and like so you don't have to like squish the titties or anything. It's pretty interesting. It's a whole new technology. He's going to open up his center later at the end of this month. Yeah.
There's a controversy around mammograms because they're X-ray technology and they can cause cancer as much as.
So this stuff is not like that. This is a totally new technology. It's very, very interesting.
I like that.
He was breaking it down. And I'm going to learn more when I go and tour the facility when they open up later at the end of the month.
Are you having a mammogram?
No need for that. No need for that, Dr. Mark. No. It's also National Mulligan Day.
I need those when I go golfing.
Yeah, right.
Where's Nick when you need him?
Man. And it's also National Pasta Day, Dr. Mark.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pasta?
My favorite pasta, I'm not supposed to eat pasta anymore, but I think probably maybe raviolis. I like raviolis. And I like what's that?
I'd say, how about our friends in the chat? What do you all like? What's your favorite pasta?
What's your favorite pasta on National Pasta Day? I also like what's the one? It's like the potato balls, gabachi. Yoke. Yeah, that shit is so good. Yeah, I love that.
Dr. Martin, you would be proud of me the way I actually make a real bolognese. I make the true spaghetti bolognese.
So what's your favorite pasta, Jesse?
Tagliatelle, which instead of making spaghetti, right? Spaghetti noodles.
You sure that's not?
Tag. Yeah. I use Tag, and then I do a full I'd brown the beef in onions, and then I take Italian sausage and brown that, add wine. I do the whole thing. It takes me 3 hours to make sauce. Gravy, as you would call it.
Oh, no, I call it sauce. You put gravy on mashed potatoes. So my favorite,
where's your Italian, bro? What are you talking about?
No, it's spaghetti sauce. Gravy.
Sunday gravy.
Yeah, I was in a gravy. Yeah. So anyway, my favorite is cavatappi, but here in Italian, what we call them cavadilles. So cavadilles is the pasta of choice in my house. That's what we love the most.
I'm forgetting what shape that is.
And so let me tell you something. You know what? Everyone's so
the little shells.
Yeah, they're kind of rolled up like a joint.
But Dr. Mark, isn't the most holiday centric coming up pasta for Halloween the gabagools dish?
God.
Yes.
Hot tip for everybody out there. I learned this from an Italian chef, that it's the size and shape of your pasta is dependent on the sauce. The more liquidy and hard your sauce is to stick to the noodle, the more of a textured noodle you want. And the more thick and sticky a sauce is, you use something thin and that doesn't need to grab as much. So
I see a mid-otter in the chat as he likes angel hair. I love angel hair, but I love it like with the garlic scampi clam white clam sauce kind of thing.
Yeah,
not with the tomato sauce. Tomato sauce.
It's not supposed to be with tomato sauce.
Yeah, so tomato sauce. I like something like rigatoni's.
Yeah.
Or something that's going to hold a little bit of sauce, right?
That's right. That's what it's supposed to be.
That's right.
Well, then thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone. Join us from any one of those platforms, you guys. And Man, Florida, medical marijuana businesses chills out. And what the numbers tell us, you guys. That's right. Because a surge in the number of Florida marijuana patients after the 2019 legalization of smokable medical cannabis has subsided, according to a new report from the state's Office of Medical Marijuana Use. Bobby Smith, the OMMU director, told the Health Professionals and Programs Subcommittee on August 15th that after recording 3 straight years of double-digit growth, the increase in the new qualified patients in the past 2 years has been at 3%. In a quote, obviously, we've got a couple months left in 2025, but we're again seeing a 3% increase in those numbers of people with active qualified patients, Smith said. A Florida resident can qualify for the medical marijuana registry with a physician's diagnosis or of one or more of over 70 diseases, including cancer and Parkinson's, and ailments such as nausea or irritable bowel syndrome. Smith walked lawmakers through details in the Florida Department of Health's 2025 Office of Medical Marijuana Use Program update, and the report shows the number of people with valid medical marijuana registry identification cards more than doubled from 459,000 in 2020 to about 925,000 presently today. The surge in patients coincided with a nearly tripling of the amount of smokable medical marijuana dispensed from 2.7 million ounces in 2020 to 6.6 million ounces last year. The use and possession of marijuana is illegal under federal law, but 24 states allow possession of the plant and 40 states permit its medical use. Amendment 2 in 2016 legalized medical cannabis in Florida for patients with qualifying conditions. Florida more than doubled the number of registered medical marijuana users and the amount of marijuana products dispenses in the 5 years after legislature and at the urging of Governor Ron DeSantis legalized the use of smokable marijuana. That's right, Governor Ron DeSantis made that happen. 2 weeks after taking office in 2019, speaking to reporters in Winter Park with Orlando attorney John Morgan and former Congressman Matt Gaetz at his side, DeSantis told told legislators to change the law and that he was dropping the state appeal of a court decision declaring the ban on smokable marijuana unconstitutional. In a quote, "I want people to have their suffering relieved," said DeSantis at the time, adding he was opposed to adult use marijuana. The latest medical marijuana numbers were released while the Smart and Safe Political Committee works to secure a 2026 ballot space for the initiative to legalize adult use cannabis for adults 21 and over. DeSantis led the opposition to last year's proposed constitutional amendment from the group, and money funneled through the DeSantis-backed Hope Florida Foundation reportedly was used to defeat the measure and is the subject of a Leon County grand jury. On October 11th, DeSantis told the Pennsylvania Family Institute that, in quotes, "more people probably agreed with the initiative, but argued it was morally right to fight the defeat," he says. Meanwhile, Florida has grown to be the most lucrative medical marijuana market in the nation, with more registered patients than any other state, about 4% of the total population. Florida medical marijuana, by the numbers, you guys, all right, get ready for this. Medical marijuana use registry patients, there is 925,564 registered patients. Caregivers, there's 5,683. Physicians, there's 2,434 active physicians in Florida right now. Regulated entities, marijuana testing facilities, there are 8. Marijuana treatment centers, there are 28. Processing facilities, there are 35. Cultivation facilities, 40. And dispensaries, there are 733. And the top 5 medical marijuana MMTCs by dispensation of marijuana in milligrams in 2024, you have Trulieve dispensing 5.6 billion milligrams sold. MUV with 2.3 million. Curaleaf 2.2, AYR Cannabis 2.0, and Sutera Wellness 1.4. And then there's also the top 5 MTC smokable marijuana by ounces sold in 2024. You have Trulieve coming in with 2,519,021 ounces sold. Curaleaf, 643,964 ounces sold. MUV, 620,365 ounces sold. And AYR, better known as Air Cannabis, 386,558 ounces. And following by Sutera Wellness at 346,197. Well, that's some interesting numbers coming out of Florida. I find it interesting that they wanted to boost the numbers by quantifying everything in milligrams and ounces and not breaking it down to, you know what I'm saying, pounds and maybe liters or something or whatnot. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Florida, it's always been the place to be. It looks like it still is, and may possibly be the #1 market in the United States right now. What do y'all got to say about this?
I'm confused. It sounded like the article is saying that there was actually quite the surge, but the headline contradicts that and says that
no. The headline is saying is yes, there was surges initially, but in the last couple of years, it has only increased at a 3% margin. When Governor DeSantis allowed for smokable flower, there was those surge that came in, but now it has now plateaued at a 3% growth rate as far as for people getting their medical marijuana cards.
Well, 3% is like appropriate, right? Once you reach an equilibrium.
I'm not surprised. Not to mention too, you know, they do issue cards to snowbirds also. You know what I mean? I think Dr. Mark would qualify as a snowbird.
So would I if I go to Florida.
I mean, there's a few things that are happening in Florida. You know, there's also the hemp industry that's growing there, and that might have slowed the rate down.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get your medical in Florida. You have to it's not just once a year. You have to go back, I believe, every 6 months. You get some recommended prescription of a certain amount that you can have. And if it's not enough for you, then you've got to petition the doctor to give you more. So it's surprising that they grew to almost 1 million registered patients and that they will probably. I'm expecting that they would level off because of the hurdles that it takes. Some people just won't want to do it. They'll just want to go to their hemp dispensary and get THCA.
Well, that's one of the things that I think that is definitely happening out there. You're exactly right on that, Dr. T. And that's one of the reasons that, certain companies are pushing for those types of bans in these states, too.
Mm-hmm. That's why the battle there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the cannabis industry in general, it's awesome that there's growth despite these other tensions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dr. T, right on that these are interesting stats that they're one of the most lucrative medical marijuana markets in the nation, with 4%, given what you just said, that it's so difficult and that there's this friction and barrier to entry. And then also that there's 2,500 physicians and that have signed up almost 1 million patients.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a staggering number per physician.
Yeah. And I'm surprised too by the number of caregivers. I thought that number would be higher if you got almost 1 million, if you have 1 million patients, you know what I mean, that you only have, a little over 5,000 caregivers in the state. I thought that was kind of a low number.
Yeah, it may be difficult. I don't know what the process is to becoming a caregiver. That might also be difficult.
Well, that is interesting. How many patients per caregiver is that? 1 million by 5,000. What is that? 2,200?
It's like 0.2 caregivers for every patient. Something like that. It's more than the American.
200. I said it right. Yeah, it's 200.
The other stat that True Leaf owns the flower market is also.
I'm not surprised by that. They have more outlets than anyone else. I mean, they account for the most stores throughout Florida. There's 700 stores, and I think like over 150 of those alone are True Leaves.
Yeah, well, I guess what was interesting to me was that I wonder what the hemp competition is doing to that stat to see if there is a because they're not counting the hemp market here.
Mm-hmm.
And so is there a hemp market cultivator or brand that is beating Truly's dominant?
Well, you bring up an interesting point because, Curaleaf, they closed their medical marijuana store in Palm Beach, Florida, and they turned it into just a hemp-derived store because of less regulations, and they're selling all of their hemp-derived products out of that location there, Dr. T. So,
And Dr. T, tagging on that, an educated guess, I would think, is that so many people are retirees and they're older there. And that probably makes up a good percentage of these patients that are actually signing up for medical marijuana. They see that as the legit way. And one of those older patients who's in their 60s or 70s probably isn't likely to go buy hemp from a smoke shop or a convenience store. Whereas the hemp market that's more recreational minded or adult use minded is going to be a younger audience, people who are closer to 21 and doing it for fun, or party reasons or other reasons. They're not necessarily medically focused. So there's probably a demographic split, and that's just an educated guess. I don't have any numbers on that, but just knowing Florida as it is, I would guess that there's a huge majority of these patients are older. They're probably definitely over 40.
Well, they do say that Florida is heaven's doormat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying it's an educated guess based on my knowledge of the demographics that all these patients are probably much older, and then the hemp market that you're referring to is probably much younger. So there's probably not a lot of crossover there.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to see, and I guess what we're talking about really are CBD products versus THC dominant products.
That too.
You have any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, before we move on?
No, I'm just really glad that Dr. T brought up the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is that Florida is a big hemp state. A lot of hemp manufacturing happens down there, and distribution that ends up going all over the country. So you may not need access to a brick and mortar store like the place in Palm Springs or Palm Beach. You can just wherever you get internet.
Fair enough. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Arpadilli is the bow ties, right?
Yeah.
That's your favorite pappardelle, huh? Favorite pasta, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, so tell everybody, Dr. T.
Yeah.
My favorite pasta is.
What is it?
No, he's asking you.
Pappardelle.
He's asking you, Dr. T, to tell the audience what your favorite pasta is.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back. We're live.
Oh,
Yeah.
My favorite pasta is pappardelle.
Yeah,
Okay.
getting it. Well, you know, guys, the cats run the internet, right? You know that the cats control the internet. Have you
The
ever heard
cool
this
cats
before?
do.
You know what I mean? Well, let me tell you something, because there was a controlled trial, doctors. CBD and CBDA paste reduces osteoarthritis pain in cats, you guys. That's right. A study published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that a cannabidiol CBD and a cannabidiolic acid CBDA paste reduced osteoarthritis pain in cats. Research from the University of Helvet Sciences conducted a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover trial involving 26 cats with diagnosed osteoarthritis. 14 cats completed the study, while 12 were dropouts, and maybe they had to take cat naps too often, but primarily because they refused to consume the paste. The results showed that the cats treated with the CBDA and CBD paste experienced significantly reduced pain and improved mobility compared to the placebo. Improvements were evident as early as 2 weeks and continued throughout the 6-week treatment period, as measured by both veterinarian examinations and owner-reported pain scores. Importantly, blood work revealed no significant differences between the CBD, CBDA, and placebo groups, suggesting the treatment was generally safe. And however, the high dropout rate underscores the need for alternative formulations that are easier for cats to tolerate, and researchers noted that many cats dislike the taste or texture of the paste, complicating dosing consistency. The authors concluded that CBD-CBDA paste appears effective in alleviating osteoarthritis pain in cats, but larger studies with better delivery methods are needed to confirm the findings and establish long-term safety. Well, shout out to all these cats getting this CBD-CBDA catnip on for their osteoarthritis. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. And the fact that there were some dropout cats, I find even more entertaining, personally.
This is the making of a cat video.
Well, I'm glad that there was no eating of the cats involved in this study. That was great news.
I think the highlight of this story is the acid form, the CBDA, being included in the paste. And I like to say this all the time, but we really need research into the raw form of cannabis, in the juicing and eating it and consuming raw the acid forms of THCA and CBDA, because anecdotally it's done some miraculous things for people out there in the world, and we've never really dove into what the combination of eating cooked and decarboxylated cannabis along with raw, and what that does in the body and what kinds of effects that has.
You know, Jesse, I'm really surprised they couldn't have just added some tuna terps to this formula.
Tuna terps?
Tuna terps.
Sounds lovely.
Tuna terps, bro. You know, those cats would have been all over it, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Or cat piss terps.
Or salmon, you know what I'm saying? You know, Salmon Creek, maybe. Salmon Creek terps, you know, that could have worked.
Now, CBD doesn't generally have an aroma, right? It's usually the other components of the flower that create the aroma. So I wonder what terp profile was affecting these cats, the finicky cats.
It's the paste. It's got to be the paste, bro. You know what I'm saying? Obviously these cats never went to elementary school and they never shared their paste with other cats.
That's where your mind is. It's back in elementary school.
You know, just saying, man. Well, they brought out the fact that there was dropout cats. You know what I mean, Dr. T. So you know, you can't help but incorporate some school jokes.
School dropout cats.
Exactly. Dr. Mark, I mean, how important is a study like this realistically? I mean, I know that they test different things on animals first before they move to humans, and it's usually mice and then monkeys and then humans. So why are they testing this on cats?
Well, couple things. First of all, this is just fascinating to me because, again, what we do know is that decarboxylated cannabinoids have completely different pharmacology than do the cannabinoid acids, right, Dr. T? Cannabinoid acids just act on a completely set of different targets. So you'd think, again, if the new meow mix,
that was good.
CBD plus CBDA, this is a likening to my Trekkie past, a Jean-Luc fire all weapons kind of moment, right? So the idea is that if you're fortifying with CBD, you're acting on different receptors in the endocannabinoid system than that does CBDA, right? So what we know, Dr. T, too, is that they also act on 5-HT, 5-HT1A, right? Which is the serotonin receptor, too, as well. But Jason, to address your thing, and I'm sure Dr. T's aligned with me on this, they have to use animal models before they put this into humans, because certainly, like, if you do testing in humans and now you have all kinds of issues around liability, and the animal models don't always translate into efficacy in humans, but we're learning more and more about that. But I'll also point out that the companion animal market is a huge market. People, like even myself, I can tell you that we probably spend more on the veterinary care of our pets than we do on our own health care, right? Because I know some people do the pet health insurance. I don't know. I thought that was
I had someone that did that, and their pet just went to the vet, and their coverage didn't even cover what they needed for their pet. They were so pissed off. Yeah.
But so and Dr. T, tell me if this is incorrect or correct. So a lot of companies do testing in the veterinary market with the idea of introducing veterinary products, which typically have a lower hurdle, but you can take that data and now use that as your preclinical data to get from phase 1 to phase 2. Now, with CBD and CBDA, I wanted to point out that I spent Tuesday and Wednesday at this thing here. Can you see it?
Hold it up. I'll hold it up a little bit. I'll hold it up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Read
that to the audience.
Hold it back up. The cannabinoid and endocannabinoid drug development summit.
Yeah, so this was down at the Colonnade Hotel down in Boston, and I was there for the last couple of days. And let me tell you something, it is very, very fascinating what's going on in the field, because while there are companies that are interested in developing botanical active ingredients, Dr. T, like your CBD and your CBDA and CBG, and saw a lot of very interesting stuff. In fact, I saw very similar data to what we're seeing here in cats in horses, because as it turns out, horses get osteoarthritis too. And certainly if you think about like horses, having osteoarthritis could be the death knell, right? Because they can't walk anymore, they can't stand. So certainly for treating your companion animals like horses, dogs, and cats, it's always important to make sure that, again, they have an endocannabinoid system too, don't they, Dr. T, right?
All animals.
So the way that they're approaching this, and again, I met this fella named, can you see this guy's name?
Jeff
Hareen, right?
Hareen.
And his company called Tanasi basically has a patent on a 1-to-1 mixture of CBD to CBDA. Now, it's interesting because CBD has already been approved. It's the active ingredient in Epidiolex, so it's approved for human use. But CBDA hasn't. But if the literature is correct, and some of this literature is from Raphael Mechoulam, so we know it's correct, is that CBDA, check this out, Dr. T, has 400 to 500 times more bioavailability than CBD. So having that acidic group on the molecule not only shows higher bioavailability, but in some cases, like I was saying earlier, and I'm sure Dr. T will agree, I see him nodding, is that the acids have completely different pharmacology than does CBD. So I think this is wonderful to hear about. Again, maybe the new Meow Mix is CBD to CBDA, but maybe, again, the thing to think about here is things like Epidiolex, which have already been approved for human use. Maybe we need to take a step back and say, okay, well, what are we actually extracting from the cannabis plant? We're actually extracting cannabinoid acids. So I think that there's an untapped opportunity to use the cannabinoid acids in the same way that we use decarboxylated cannabinoids with a product that commingles the two. So I love this work. Dr. T, I don't know, like if you're giving a whole hemp cannabis extract, a lot of those extracts have not been decarboxylated, but I know that some extracts, they do specifically decarboxylate. And, you know, I talked to Dustin Sulak about this quite a bit because, again, that acid group has completely different pharmacology. It doesn't make sense to have them both together. And so I saw Dustin's guy at the conference. I can't find him, but somewhere in my backpack here, I have a set of 1-to-1 gummies where he's now making CBG plus CBGA, CBD plus CBDA. So I think really to take full advantage of the endocannabinoid system, and I would love your opinion on this, Dr. T, we should be co-formulating cannabinoid acids along with the decarboxylated cannabinoids.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in terms of formulation and the perfect formula, it's a very difficult process, you know, but nature has done its work for us, and our interaction with the plant has done its work for us. There are natural plants that exist that are partially decarboxylated out there and consumed. You know, taking a hemp flower or a type 3 flower and making a tea out of it, a decoction where you boil the flower, is an old-time remedy used in Jamaica. It's pretty common. This is how it's applied medicinally. And guess what's in that? The decarboxylated CBD, as well as the CBDA, the acid form. So yeah. So it's been used for centuries. Glad that pharma catching up with this pharma doing its thing, basically.
Finally.
Yep.
Finally. Well. I guess on that, we are going to stop catting off on this story, and we're going to roll right into Dr. Jean Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your doctor's recommendation online all the time. And that's right, he's up there in the Yay area. It is none other than Mr. Dr. Jean Talleyrand.
Thank you, Jason. Oh, and let me just make sure
you're good.
I'm here.
Yep, we got you, baby.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Let's see. My story today is from Marijuana Herald by Anthony Martinelli, a regular there. A new review published in the International Journal of Molecular Science explores how CBD may benefit cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death worldwide. Researchers from the University Hospital Split, that's in Croatia, detail how the endocannabinoid system through CB1 and CB2 receptor plays a central role in cardiovascular health. Preclinical studies, that's similar to what Dr. Mark was explaining, suggest that selectivity activating CB2 receptors could reduce atherosclerosis, limit damage from ischemia reperfusion injury, that's basically a heart attack, decrease oxidative stress, and calm chronic inflammation, all without the psychoactive effects tied to CB1. The review notes that CBD interacts with many targets beyond cannabinoid receptors, influencing redox-sensitive transcription factors, vascular tone, immune responses, and endothelial integrity. Early clinical findings indicate that CBD may lower blood pressure, improve endothelial function, and reduce stress-related peptides like catastatin, while maintaining a strong safety profile. However, researchers caution that clinical evidence remains limited. Challenges include low bioavailability, small trial sizes, short study durations, and unanswered questions about long-term use. They conclude that while CBD shows significant promise as an adjunct therapy for cardiovascular disease, larger and more rigorous clinical trials are needed before it can be widely adopted in treatment. Every study ends that way. I chose this article in response to earlier publications this year that suggested that THC may contribute to blood vessel damage leading to atherosclerosis and heart disease. So studies also show a positive association between cannabis use and heart attacks, but the researchers are unclear whether the cause is cannabis or just the lifestyle of cannabis users. Cannabis is a plant with different chemical profiles. So whenever you see cannabis or marijuana doing this, ask yourself, which type of cannabis are we looking at? Type 1 plants have a higher THC, whereas type 3 plants have a higher CBD. According to this recent study, type 3 plants may prevent heart disease. The results remind us that not all cannabis is THC. The use of different types may lead to opposing effects. The difference is also important in determining potency. A potent type 1 is not the same as a potent type 3. Let's also remember that children with chronic diseases use cannabis, but it's not the same cannabis sold at dispensaries. It's usually type 3. If you have heart disease in your family's medical history, after this article, I would highly recommend using type 3 cannabis as a preventative on a daily basis. It's the Dr. Joe Talleyrand with iodine mix.
Wow. Preventive is stopping heart attacks. I mean, this is This is a big deal. So I guess then, since cannabis isn't the cause of the heart attacks, maybe it's the law enforcement when they turn your lights on that behind you is the cause of the heart attack, Dr. T.
Or just listeing to Trump.
Oh, that makes my heart sing. That makes my heart sing when I hear that stuff, Dr. T. It makes my heart sing. Oh man, what do you got to say, Dr. Mark, about this?
Well, Dr. T, we've talked about this before, right? So the endocannabinoid system is the regulator of what we call homeostasis, right? And homeostasis is kind of like the check engine light, if you will, on the body, right?
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not the best analogy, but so the notion is
that speaking, I like buffer, but that's for chemists because the chemical buffer. Sure.
So what do I mean to say here? So the endocannabinoid system regulates all other systems, including the circulatory system, including the musculoskeletal system, all at work here in the heart, right? And so the heart uses things called ion channels, to actuate the pumping mechanism, right, Dr. T? Am I right? That's why typically you're given a calcium channel blocker, because blocking that channel again creates again
That's
without getting too
activity.
I'm so glad you can finish my sentences for me.
Yeah.
But so Dr. T, so what is the so therapeutic effect and prevention are sort of two different things, right? And so I think the way that I think of the endocannabinoid system, because the endocannabinoids that our body produces, we're not talking about the phytocannabinoids, we're talking about 2-AG and anandamide and probably other molecules that are similar to those. That's all a function of diet, right? It's all a function of like consuming the right amount of polyunsaturates, so you have the ingredients in your body to make those endocannabinoids, right? And so
it's been related to diet, absolutely, medications, as well as some activity like acupuncture will adjust your endocannabinoid system.
Cannabinoid system. So my question for you, Dr. T, is like, so if you put stress into that equation, right? So if you're under stress and so your heart starts beating faster, you know, you get vasoconstriction, your blood pressure goes up. I mean, all of that is part of the regulatory system that, again, endocannabinoid system is trying to put back into check. Isn't that right?
Yeah. It definitely has neuroimmune effects that sort of modulate your stress. It modulates your appetite. It modulates your sleep. It modulates pain.
So it's not really a far stretch of the imagination to see this actually acting in the cardio realm. And I guess the question that I would have for you is, again, more around not therapeutic treatment of heart and coronary disease, but isn't it part of the body's way of giving, again, thinking about homeostasis and thinking about balance of all of these biochemicals in their body? It's more part of preventative and not necessarily a therapeutic approach, right?
Right. But, you know, sometimes putting your body in a better balance will make your body fight off a particular condition. I know in pharmacology and in medicine, we like to identify a specific disease and target it. That's where the money is made. But reality, wellness, and holistic approaches really sometimes cures the disease itself. And, you know, of course, a combination of the two, if you have a particular condition, might be the best.
Is it true that, like, by the time you're getting to treatment like calcium channel blockers and whatnot, that it's just like you're almost treating not the underlying cause that's creating the issue, but you're just sort of treating the symptoms, which is the either rapid heartbeat or AFib or arrhythmia, or just something that's out of, again, balance with the homeostasis that the endocannabinoid system is trying to keep.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, calcium channel blockers are medicines that are given for high blood pressure, amongst other things. And often if you go to a person and say, hey, you know, get on a better diet, lose 10 pounds, that brings the blood pressure back to normal without the medication. So you can start by doing preventative things like good diet, keeping a good body, and that can be your solution. Or if you're unable to do that, or while you're doing that, add some medicine to the equation, some calcium channel blockers to bring your blood pressure down as you're getting your lifestyle at a different level.
Jesse, you have anything you want to throw in on this heartbreaking story?
No, I mean, I think this is very similar to the last story. CBD for years and years and years and years and years has just been showing to do amazing things in the body. I would love to see them couple this with CBDA.
Yeah.
Put it in the water. Put it in the water. Put it in everything. I don't think it hurts, and it definitely seems to help.
Yep. I totally agree.
CBD is just good for the body, period.
Oh yeah, I think we should all be taking CBD daily.
I'm in support of that. I think CBD is probably the easiest marketing tool too that has been able to be marketed, that actually bring new people into the cannabis world and help them to, you know what I'm saying, acclimate into a cannabis daily living type of a regiment, and, you know what I'm saying, more familiarize themselves with the plant. And I think CBD is that gateway.
Yeah, I believe it's the new vitamin C that will be fortified in all foods, from infant formula through geriatric medicine and everything in between.
Dr. Mark, it actually is vitamin CBD. Yes. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And make sure that you check out our 9/11 special featuring Congressman Kurt Weldon and Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. Everything that happened and didn't happen on 9/11. And if you are interested or know someone interested in a federal pardon, I have assembled a top-notch legal team that can really help you out, and we can ultimately, hopefully, be successful in obtaining a presidential pardon for you, your friend, business associate, whatever that is. Please make sure that you reach out, because I do have the top-notch legal team in play to help out. And if you are a California voter, make sure that you vote no on 50.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app,
where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
Oh, and we are back, you guys. We're going to roll right into Dr. Mark Scialdone. He's a researcher. He finds cannabinoids that we never knew existed and likes to give them cute little names, little alphabetical names. He's also researching out in the great Champlain region of the great Green Mountain state of Vermont. It is none other than Dr. Mark Scialdone.
Oh, thank you, Jason, and happy Friday to everyone. We made it through another week.
Right?
Hope everyone's got great plans for this weekend. It's a beautiful weekend here in Vermont. The sun is out. The color, actually, we're seeing lots of leaf drop now, so those colors are starting to go away. But maybe you're in warmer climes where the colors are peaking, so get out there, look at the colors, take pictures, and smoke cannabis.
Well, you need to send us some. You need to send us some of your pictures, Doctor, because you guys have the best colors out there of any other state in the entire country.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'd like to think that we have nice color.
It's true. It's true.
So today I'm really excited about the article that I'm covering, which was appeared at the end of last month in Nature and Medicine. This is a very important paper because what this is showing, this was a group in Germany. I'll talk about their affiliation in a second. And obviously, again, European countries are kind of moving forward with this and maybe a little bit stifled here still by Schedule I listing of cannabis. But here the paper is entitled Full Spectrum Extract of Cannabis Sativa DKJ127 for Chronic Lower Back Pain, a Phase 3 randomized placebo-controlled trial. So as you know, Dr. T and I have discussed before on High at 9 News, I mean, you have to do double-blind placebo type testing. And in Phase 3, you're in humans, so you're no longer in animals. So this testing was done in humans. And again, chronic lower back pain is a problem that a lot of people suffer from. I know I have that a little bit. And so the abstract reads as following, and we'll kind of dig into the technical aspects of the paper in a little bit. Chronic lower back pain affects over 500 million people worldwide. A lot of people, right? So current pharmacological treatments offer limited efficacy and carry substantial risks, warranting development of safe and effective alternative treatments. Isn't that great to read that in an abstract of an article? In the second sentence of the abstract, they're talking about safe and effective alternatives, and it's about cannabis. I love it, right? So this multi-centered, randomized, placebo-controlled Phase 3 trial was evaluated for the efficacy and safety of VER01 in chronic lower back pain, and I'll talk about what that VER01 is in a second. It enrolled 820 adults with lower back pain and included a double-blind 12-week treatment in Phase A of the study, a 6-month open-label extension Phase B, followed by either a 6-month continuation in Phase C or a randomized withdrawal, which they call Phase D. So these are all the phases of the study because what they're looking to see is, are there long-term effects or was there kind of like just a short-term burst while they were taking the medication? Okay, so, the primary endpoint of Phase A was the change in the mean numeric rating scale, which is how they rate pain, of pain intensity, actually. A change in total neuropathic pain symptom inventory, which is something that I was unfamiliar with until I read this paper. So something called NPSI score as a secondary endpoint for participants with neuropathic pain component. Okay, the primary endpoint of Phase D was the time for the treatment to failure. So now the treatment is no longer working, right? And again, they're asking the patients now to basically fill out questionnaires that say, okay, what was working, say, a month ago, you know what, is no longer working now. Okay. Study met its primary endpoint in Phase A with the mean pain reduction of a score of minus 1.9. I don't really know how to gauge that, but they have some relative scoring down here in the paper, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. versus placebo, which is at a negative 0.6 score. So Dr. T, they're comparing a score of negative 1.9 to negative 0.6 in the placebo. So what you can see, the difference in there is that's the what's called the therapeutic effect, right? Mm-hmm. So pain further decreased down to 2.9 in phase B, with effects sustained through phase C. The study is also met its secondary endpoint of phase A with a mean NPSI score, that score that I was talking about before, of decrease of minus 14.4. So now we're really moving the needle on this. So this is really, really working. I mean, I think that's basically what this data shows. It says, although phase B did not meet its primary endpoint, and what they're doing is they're setting sort of a score that they're calling a threshold, which they want to meet in order for it to become an endpoint. Pain increased significantly with more placebo withdrawal. So the more they were giving placebo, now these patients again are starting to feel this pain. So that again improves the effectiveness of the medication, and they can't attribute that to a placebo effect because the patients are still getting what they think is effective medicine, right, Dr. T? So in double-blind placebo, not only do the doctors not know what is medicated and what's not medicated, the patients don't know either. So you're really getting an honest read for the therapeutic effectiveness of the treatment. So in phase A, the incidence of adverse events were mostly mild to moderate with transient effects. So maybe that could be, again, they talk about it down here in the paper where it affects mood, it affects sleep, it affects other things. But I think clearly from the scores here, you can see it actually is doing good to quell the pain of lower back pain. So it says it was well tolerated with no signs of dependence or withdrawal. Now that's super interesting too, because this is a THC containing extract. They're using an extract here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So, and then they actually have registration to clinical trials at Gov. So here it is. This is, again, a site that's run by the NIH. I'm sure, Dr. T, you know all about this. If you want to go to a website called clinicaltrials.gov, you can put the word cannabis in there and see all of the clinical trials that are happening that use cannabis. And so, yeah, they cite this here, and they actually give a hot link at the bottom of the abstract that when you click on that link, it takes you right to the study details and say, you know, what the study overview is, talks about those 4 different phases of this phase. Remember, this is a phase 3 clinical trial in humans, but then they divided it into those 4 different phases of A, where they were getting medication, in B, where sometimes they were getting medication, sometimes they weren't, and then C and D, where again, they were looking for the long-term efficacy. And what they say here is that all patients who have completed phase A, for whom the investigator considers further participation, shall begin then phase B, and in phase and C and D run in parallel to again try to flush out that placebo versus real effect. So what was really interesting here to me is that they're using whole plant extract, Dr. T. And so what I did is I did a little bit of digging, and what I found out is that this, and you guys can also do this. If you Google cannabis strain DKJ127, you'll come to a Canadian website that talks about the strain itself. And so it's cannabis sativa. So again, it's going to be having THC in there. Then when you scroll down and you read the summary, check out what the summary says here. The summary basically says, this is Jack Herrera. That's all this is. They give it some fancy code name, but they don't want to say Jack Herrera in a Nature and Medicine paper because I don't know, oh my God,
exactly.
They're using weed. Right? So
that's what they called it, Jack Herrera?
Yeah, so if you go to this, so
did they give you the terpene profile?
Well, I looked for that in here and I'm not seeing it, but they talk about the inflorescence, they talk about the female flower, they talk about the color, they talk about the stigma, and then where they say origin and breeding history, they say this, and I quote, DKJ127 was developed from a selection of heterogeneous population of the variety Jack Herer. The first propagation took place on August 1st, 2019 in Marslev, Denmark. Selections were then based on THC content. So, throughout cultivation, when humans started really cultivating and breeding cannabis, they were breeding cannabis certainly for THC content because, again, the notion was, well, the more THC's in there, the more effective it's going to be, the more high we're going to get. But I'm sure also we know what that historical profile for Jack Herer. It's high in terpinolene, right? It's kind of like got that it's not fruity, but it's a little more gassy.
Chemically, I call it like turpentine smells to me in some way.
Yeah, right. But
I always think it's a little bit like Windex kind of, or something like that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But it is a phenotype sativa, like doesn't produce as much longer cultivation cycle. That's why there's not many of it.
There's not a whole lot of details in the paper itself around the strain. You have to, again, do a little bit of detective work and pointing and clicking. But basically what this is, it's a Jack variety. A Jack variety that basically in full spectrum extract form is basically showing in a double-blinded placebo that's effective at controlling back pain, okay? So I think the reason why they codenamed it is because, again, they're in Germany and maybe they want to think about how they can possibly capitalize on this. So I went down immediately and said, okay, who's funding this paper, right? Because when it comes down to this paper is basically a commercial for Jack Herer strain. If you have chronic lower back pain, here's what you want to take. And so the authors are all legit. This is a legit paper. And I think totally exciting that finally, Dr. T, we're seeing researchers, again, not here in the US, but over in Canada, doing double-blind placebo to show that there is indeed a therapeutic effect from a full-spectrum cannabis extract. To me, that's exciting news. Okay, so the affiliations of these authors were Department of Anesthesiology and Intensive Care Medicine at the Pain Clinic in Hanover Medical School in Hanover, Germany. Another one was a department from anesthesiology from the Jena Hospital in Friedrich Schiller University in Jena, Germany. So these all look like legit. There's nobody trying to sell weed from this. This is not like a guise around, ooh, buy our strain now, it's good for. But I think what this shows, again, is the rest of the medical literature and the people who read this paper are going to be like, okay, I have a patient coming in with chronic lower back pain. You know what? There's some Jack Herer on the menu over at the local dispensary, right, Dr. T? Now I can take these results and say, you have chronic lower back pain, try this, right? So I think this is super exciting. I love this. What we know about the endocannabinoid system and pain in general, pain and inflammation are related. These, again, are things that the endocannabinoid system, for maintaining homeostasis, tries to keep in check. What I learned at the conference that I just came back from in Boston, which was that there are different types of pain. There's neuropathic pain, there's nociceptive pain, there's a chronic and acute pain. All these pains are different. They use mice models where they introduce some kind of stimuli, not necessarily a pain. Sometimes they just use a cold surface. And certainly, like, if the mouse's tail is against the cold surface, it'll start to feel cold and pain. So the mouse will tend to move the tail away. But again, if the mouse is given THC or these other cannabinoids, guess what? They're not feeling that pain, so their tail doesn't move away from the cold surface. You're not harming the animal by doing this. All you're doing is you're just looking to see, can we give the animal something that's basically going to shut down that pain signal? So what we know, again, is pain is mediated by a bunch of different biochemical mechanisms. It's basically a survival of the fittest thing that we needed to know when something's hot, because guess what? You could burn your flesh. So if you start feeling something hot, and you want to pull away right away. So again, it's a very important pain in a way is a signal that there's something else going wrong, right? And so I'll just stop by saying that, I love seeing papers like this, because when papers like this occur, Nature in Medicine is a top tier journal in the world. The world experts in pain have looked at this manuscript, and they've looked at the details of this manuscript, and they warrant it publishable in a journal like that. So that, this article is very important, because you're using a whole strain extract of Jack to basically control neuropathic pain, or I guess lower back pain, not necessarily neuropathic pain. But I got really super excited when I read this. Jason, I know that this published last month, but thanks for giving me the license to present it.
Yeah, bro, it's a big deal.
I think so.
This is a huge deal, and the fact that they said that there's no jacking around in this study. You know what I mean? This
Wait,
great.
hold on, because the first of all, awesome paper. The Germans are going to go down this path. They like this standardized approach. If I would talk to my group of patients, which are mostly from Northern California, they would say, no, more the Kush really helps with back pain, not Jack. But you got to understand that in Northern California, that's what they grow is Kush, right? And so they're going to vote what they grow more than anything. Although there might be a Jack here and there, they would prefer. So let's wait until the next study comes out where they put the Jack varietal up against the OG Kush and see which one wins that one. That'll be exciting.
Well, OG is going to win all day.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
I have one thing to say, and totally respectfully, it's Herrer like terror. Not Jack Herrera, just so everybody knows. It's very important. The Herrera family will love you very deeply if you say the name right.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I agree. OG will, you know what I'm saying? But to a lot of people that don't have access to anything, Jack works amazingly well for them. And, and a lot of times, I don't want to minimize this at all by getting it off into the weeds of saying OG is going to crush this in the next study and because the Jack varietal is what I would consider like a classic heirloom type of strain that definitely has a place in it, and I'll even
go. It's my favorite.
It's your favorite. It's not mine.
One of my favorites too.
It's not mine. But I do think that it has its place, and there's lots of things that I don't like that what I'm saying other people don't. You know what I'm saying that I do like that other people don't like. So to everybody to each their own. There are a lot of people that I know that love it and it's their favorite thing, just like you stated, Dr. T, and so. I definitely think that it holds its place there, and I think this is great for the family that that's the strain that was used in relation to, and the fact that they mentioned Jack in the study I think is another big type of groundbreaking.
They didn't mention it in the study, Jason. Remember, I had to do detective work to try to find out what it was. So they call it this DKJ127. What we were able to tell people on High at Night News today.
Got it.
DKJ127 is Jack.
Now you're going to have all these people renaming Jack as DKJ127, and that being able to sell it to other people now because they're not going to, all the people that say that they don't like Jack, and then all of a sudden now they're going to like it again because it's getting called DJK127.
Well, I'm sure this company probably patented that name or trademarked that name.
Right. It's something like that. But the fact that you have anesthesiologists who are actually using a full spectrum cannabis extract to do phase 3 double blind placebo. Come on.
That's the cool part.
That's Yeah,
you know,
cool.
I do have to say that these
cool.
these people did mess up a little bit on the name, though, Dr. T. I think what they should have done, and it would have been much, much easier for everybody to remember and much more marketable, is if they would have named it DJT 4547, and then all of a sudden there wouldn't have been no jacking around on any of this information.
That's a synthetic cannabinoid mixture.
Oh man, that was. This is a great, huge breakthrough studies today, you guys. This is great news.
See this in this journal? Believe me, this journal is like absolute top notch. Like I couldn't publish in this journal. Only the top professors, top tier researchers publish in this journal, and this journal gets circulated amongst the academics of the world. So I think this is going to turn a lot of heads. This is a really important paper.
Wow,
that's great.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this, Dr. Mark, and finding it, because we definitely would not have found it without you bringing this to our attention.
About time I did something useful.
You're always doing something useful, man. You always want to, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to go into that one. We're going to go into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's Joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Decine Jack. We figured out what DKJ stands for, Dr. Mark, and it has to stand for Decine Jack. So they did put Jack in the name, just the initial. Just saying. Okay. Well, on that, we're going to roll right into Mr. Jesse Barney. He's the founder of Barney Design Co. and can help take your brands to the highest plateau, and he can actually tell you what your brand is actually trying to tell you and your consumer base. It is none other than Mr. Jesse Barney.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that Decine Jack joke there.
Yeah.
I do wonder if the J in there is for Jack.
It has to be for Jack, bro. It has to be.
Yeah. It's always been one of my favorite cultivars. The first time I ever smelled it, my friend was growing it in our apartment when I was 17. And that I will never get over that smell. It's so unique. It's so different. I love it. So it's always been one of my favorites since then. Well, but my story is not medical today. I looked for one. I tried really hard to find something that I liked that was medical or science-y going on. I just couldn't find anything new or fresh. So I pulled this one. Marijuana Mamdani. NYC's next mayor is very pro-cannabis. New York City's Democratic Party primary winner for the 2025 mayoral race, Zohran Mamdani, was a big supporter of marijuana legalization in New York State when the MRTA bill passed in 2021. He's also reportedly a cannabis consumer himself. In 2024, City and State New York said Assembly member Zohran Mamdani enjoys cannabis personally. Here's an update on that. At the mayoral debate on October 16th, the candidates were asked if they've purchased products at a legal cannabis dispensary. Smiling broadly, Mamdani said, I have. I've purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop. On the day the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act was signed into law by then-Governor Andrew Cuomo, Mamdani tweeted no less than 11 times on X and made the following statement while voting in favor on March 31st, 2021. I'm proud to be here today to debate the adult use of marijuana, also known as loud, sour D, herb, Mary Jane, kush, green, pot, weed, zaza, a jazz cigarette, and marijuana. In the course of this debate, I've heard many of our colleagues from across the aisle discussed that smoking or ingesting marijuana is an indication of lawlessness and a deteriorating quality of life. It makes one lazy and a burden to society, serves as a gateway drug. And amidst this fiction and frankly coded language, I'd also like to present a fact, which is that smoking or ingesting marijuana may also lead you to becoming an elected official. I'm very excited to be voting for this bill today. That was 4 years ago, long before he decided to run for mayor. So his current use is unknown to the public. Back then, Mamdani exalted, it may be 331 legislatively, but today is 420 in New York. Mamdani currently represents the 36th Assembly District in Queens. Normally, whoever wins the Democratic primary in New York City in June will win the general election in November. Scandal-scarred Mayor Eric Adams retreated to an independent run before dropping out, and Cuomo, whom Mamdani defeated by 8 points and conceded, is competing as an independent. But for all intents and purposes, the 33-year-old cannabis-loving Democratic Socialist will become the 111th mayor of New York City in 2026. Well, this is probably about the only thing I personally agree with Mamdani on, is his seemingly correct stance with legal cannabis. But I know that there's more people on this panel that are closer to this than I am, so I'll toss it over and see what they have to say.
Oh man, this guy. Well, you know, I find it interesting, the publication that you chose to pull this from, first of all. It's pretty wokey publication as far as the author. So
hey man, I might be conservative, but I don't mind reading something from the other side.
I don't mind either. I love to read stuff from the other side because that's how I can tell that I'm still hard-footed in reality and not in this like sub-imaginary universe that they all want to live in. But
oh yeah, I'm not scared.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I don't necessarily believe the fact that Mamdani says, you know, I believe that he said it, but I don't believe that he actually did go and purchase cannabis. I'm not even sold on the fact that he does like cannabis. I do believe in the fact that he is being an advocate for cannabis. I do believe that part, but I don't buy the fact of him saying that he does smoke and him. I just can't buy that. He's going to show me some receipts, some like a video of him actually purchasing at a dispensary before I'm ever going to believe anything like that.
Well, at the very least, he spoke out about it when it was maybe politically not favorable for him to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to me. Whenever a politician steps out and is willing to say something when it may be risky to them, I like that. That says to me that there's honesty going on. So I might push against that. Yeah, there does need to be proof, but at the very least, he spoke for cannabis and advocated it for it when it was politically not necessarily expedient. I think that's good. I think that's good. Yeah. But
that might be the only good thing that I can say about this guy.
I heard he picked up an ace of DKJ127.
Stop it! Stop it!
I love his list of what it's known as. That was the best when he was like, it's known as loud, sour D, herb, Mary J, Kush, green, pot, weed, Zaza, a jazz cigarette.
Yeah, yeah,
which is my favorite.
But you guys don't support like free busing and lower rent. That's what he stands for. And
first of all, there's actually no way. There's no way that he's going to be able to provide lower rent. First of all, let's just keep things 100. Okay, that's a false campaign, false flag that he's never going to be able to accomplish. Okay, that's not
like ending the Ukraine war in a day, right? Same kind of thing, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah. You know.
That's all game.
Anything to get elected, right?
Affordable housing definitely never works.
Hold on. Hold on. Dr. Mark's trying to say something. Let Dr. Mark go.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Mark.
Politicians will say anything to get elected. Trump is just kind of like the poster child for that. So I don't think we can take what he's saying now. I mean, yeah, I think that sort of borders on socialism, right?
It's communism.
But I do think, if you know anybody who lives in New York City, they will tell you that rent is fucking sky high.
I agree with that.
And any candidate who's going to be like, okay, I can help bring rent down. Well, that's like, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine in one day.
Yeah.
So that same kind of thing. Let's see what he does. I mean, ultimately, we all know, we've talked about this a ton, High at 9, which is not the problem, but the real issue in New York is that there's so much trap volume that gets sold through mom and pop stores that they can't put that genie back in the bottle, right? I mean,
never.
I don't know how else can they possibly address that?
They can't. They can't.
They can't, right?
They can't. No way.
So maybe what this guy is saying is, hey, you know what? Let's make an even playing field for everyone. So if you're going to buy weed and you're in New York City, you may not need to go to the cookie store in Times Square and pay some big premium on what really is just floor scrapings with terpenes and THC isolate. You can just go down to your deli when you're getting your ham, egg, and cheese sandwich, copy the New York Times. Oh yeah, give me a half ounce.
I don't see him doing that. I don't see him. I do not see him doing that at all either, Dr. Mark. No way.
How do they stop that?
They're all because these people are all about overtaxing and overregulating. That is just a democratic mindset, and that is this guy is definitely is all part of that whole machine. The Democratic Party, even if he wanted to, the Democratic Party would not allow him to do that. So I'm not going to buy that. I'm not buying that he's going to do that and like open up a free market and because then there's going to be tons of lawsuits too from all these people that's paid all these exorbitant fees on rent, exorbitant fees on licensing and everything to say, hey, if you're going to open up the market, you just diminished our whole value and everything and what our whole business models, and so now you guys are liable. There's just going to be a whole bunch of problems with that. It's just not a realistic thing. Just like him saying that he's going to lower rent. How is he going to lower rent? The only way that you're going to be able to lower rent is by building more affordable housing, and there's really nowhere else you can build in New York. And it's not like all of a sudden you're going to go and convince all of these different landlords to be like, hey, why don't you cut these people's rents in half and you know what I mean and whatever. And it's not like they're going to say, and we'll give you some type of a tax credit or whatnot off of the taxes that you pay here. They're not going to offer that because they're not going to subsidize it through the government for that rent decrease. So I want to see a viable plan of him being able to do this, because there is no actual real viable plan of him being able to do this. Not to mention, if he gets elected, the federal government has already said they're going to remove all the federal funding so that he's not able to enact any of the policies that he's talking about. So it's going to be, I can't wait for this to happen, because I'm going to sit back with my popcorn and it's going to be so good.
Is an extension of the, like, we're walking way out on limbs that this article really isn't covering. All this article's really saying is that 5 years ago almost, he supported cannabis in the MRTA, and he is a friend to cannabis. That means he's a friend to the current corporate cannabis that exists in New York. That's really all it's saying. So
I wouldn't say that. He's a friend. He's a friend to the regulatory organization.
That's what I mean.
That's who he is. He's not a friend. He's not a friend to the industry. He's a friend to the regulatory framework. Exactly.
And the people who are sitting inside of that regulatory framework, the corporate cannabis that already exists, he's a friend to that whole system.
I don't. To me, I can't say that he's a friend to corporate cannabis. I'm not going to buy that. He's a friend.
Well, that's
to
okay. You don't
He's a friend. He's a friend to the regulatory framework
and
keeping the institutional structure that is regulating the industry and overtaxing and overregulating. That's what he is a friend to.
Right. But at the end of the day, what happens is the people who actually do get inside of that system, they become protected by it. So it becomes one and the same. Is my point, and that's what the article is really saying. So will he be a friend to the deli who wants to sell it? I doubt it. He's going to be a friend to the regulatory system that is protecting the regulators and the regulated actually, and keeping those delis out from it. So he may become an enemy actually of those who are not in the regulated system.
Yeah, but he's not going to have any resources to be able to do anything, so he's just not going to be their friend.
I'm getting to my point, which is that's all just saying something. Like, it's just words, as Dr. Mark pointed out. There's not anything about actual policy in here. It's not saying, oh, this is the policy that he's proposing or that he's going to be about in the future. And does he have one? We don't know. This is just stating that in the past, he's been a friend. He helped build the regulatory system. He was one of the major parts of it that helped build it. And he's been very vocal on it. Does that mean he's going to do something in the future? We don't know, but he is definitely a friend to the regulatory system and those who are inside of that regulatory system.
Well, I will say this. I'm definitely not going to say that he is a weed for the people candidate.
Are you kidding?
Yep.
He's completely populist.
I'm not buying it, Dr. T.
He's the no one that came up and beat Cuomo because of his populist
Cuomo. It's not like it was that hard to beat Cuomo. I mean, a lot of people with a pulse could have beat Cuomo. You know what I mean? Cuomo could have beat himself even.
He's a friend of the people, and because he's a friend of the people, he's a friend of mine.
I don't buy that.
He's got radical ideas, and he's going to have 4 years to try them out. And New York they will treat him like a punching bag if he doesn't succeed.
Oh, it's going to be so great to watch, bro. I'm going to have my popcorn ready every day to watch this because New York is going to be a total train wreck, even more than it already is. And maybe they'll just stop having trains in New York, even because it'll be such a train wreck.
And I think this is a boost for the Jack cultivar. I think if he gets elected, I'd put some stock into the Jack family.
Oh man,
that's a great.
What about Trainwreck? Trainwreck might be the right.
Oh, Trainwreck, yes, maybe a Trainwreck Jack Cross. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, crosses.
All hazes.
It would be called Jack Cross the Train Tracks.
We're having too much fun with this.
Oh man. Well, you guys,
Jack the conductor.
Yep. I have one final story for you guys that I think you guys are going to find really interesting, and it's a study for you doctors, okay? Because this is very, very interesting because there's a study that says that wastewater analysis finds that cannabis use is rising in Japan with CBD use far more prevalent, you guys. That's right. A study published this week for Forensic Science International used wastewater testing to track the prevalence of cannabis and CBD use in Japan between 2020 and 2023. Researchers from the University of Queensland and Kanzawaza University found that the prevalence of THC use remained low in Japan compared to other countries, despite a steady increase in recent years. But the use of CBD was much more common than in other countries. The study analyzed samples from a wastewater treatment plant serving roughly 120,000 people on Honshu Island, and biomarkers for THC and CBD were detected in most samples, with THC indicating an average consumption of about 5 doses per 1,000 people per day, and cannabis use rose steadily, increasing roughly 27% each year during the study period. However, even with that growth, the per capita level of THC detected was up to 100 times lower than in North America. CBD, which is legal in Japan for medical purposes, showed a far stronger presence, and researchers determined that most CBD measured in wastewater originated from direct consumption of CBD products rather than trace amounts in cannabis. They concluded that CBD use in Japan was as common or more common than THC use, making it more prevalent compared to patterns seen in other countries. The authors also noted that Japan maintains some of the world's strictest cannabis laws, including penalties of up to 7 years in prison for non-medical use. Despite this, the findings suggest cannabis consumption is gradually increasing, and at the same time, the study highlights the unique role of CBD in Japan, where it is more widely accepted and used than in many other parts of the world, you guys. Wow! They got this out of the water, you guys, from a water treatment plant. CBD.
Yeah, so that's a very common thing, and when you want to look for drug use or anything that humans consume, it comes out in the waste. So yeah, I mean, this has been done it's been done to look at actually prevalence of COVID. You could actually do wastewater analysis, determine what type of infection rate based on So there's a lot of stuff that goes down the toilet that says a lot about who we are. So,
well, I mean, it's just like police when they search a trash can. You know what I'm saying? Because you are what you throw away, right?
Yep. Similar to that.
Yeah.
Only this is a little more messy.
You know, maybe not. Maybe not. Depends on what you put in your trash, Dr. Mark.
Well, it depends on what you flush down the toilet.
Yeah.
The other thing that you have to consider too is that, again, I think CBD is legal in Japan. Right?
It is. They have they have CBD based products.
They have very strict regulation about THC, right?
Yeah, they're not.
What we know is that if you treat CBD with acid, it makes THC. So the question, I guess, I would be interested in knowing whether or not CBD in wastewater plants gets converted into THC. It might. Yes.
Interesting. I thought this was a fascinating story. Shout out to all of our friends in Japan. I love the Japanese culture, and I feel like the Japanese culture loves American culture probably more than any other Asian country out there. And so,
we're going down the sewer.
Oh, easy there. American culture is live and well, and it's coming back. It's on a revival, Dr. Mark. Yeah, I think you're on mute, Jesse. There we go.
Oh, I wasn't talking.
Oh, I thought you had something to say. All right. Any thoughts on this Japan water CBD, Jesse?
No, I mean, I would imagine that cannabis use is going up. I mean, it says 2020 to 2023. That's a very particular set of years where people were locked in their homes with nothing to do.
Yeah.
So seeing that cannabis use went up, what was it, 27% a year? That just kind of lines up and makes sense. I bet that there was a lot of things that went up 27% each year during that time.
Fair enough. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai somewhere in the metaverse. Oh, excuse me, Elias and Gabriel somewhere in the metaverse.
Oh,
yes. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.